there. Thanks for joining the next DJ Shan Azure Remix show. Today I'm joined with Matt Canty once more. Hi, Matt. How are you?
Hello again. We're back.
We're just having too much fun, aren't we?
Right. Yes.
So if you've been following thus far, you know we are trying to teach an infrastructure person how to code. And we spent about, I think it was 5 episodes entirely. Now, it was really just 2 sessions that I split up into 5 episodes where we were troubleshooting a nested template deployment. And just to kind of showcase what you have to go through if you decide to use that as a way in which to think about your deployments. So now that everything's up and functional, we wanted to take it to the next level because right now the password is being supplied in the ARM template. We would prefer to have that be a little bit more secure. Actually, not a little bit, a lot more secure. So today we're going to deploy Key Vault and work on putting a secret into the Key Vault and calling that secret upon deployment. So I'll showcase Matt's desktop here. And I'll have Matt kind of walk us through this, and I'll ask questions, and we'll hopefully get you more comfortable with what Key Vault can do.
Yeah, so you can have your security folks just send the checks to Matt and Shannon. We'll give you their address later. They will be very thankful that we're showing you this stuff. So we want to add a Key Vault into our template file, and this is really a security thing. For a couple of different reasons. You know, one, you don't want your passwords being just thrown out there into the wild, right? If you upload your infrastructure as code into a repository like in GitHub or Bitbucket or Azure DevOps or someplace like that, you do not want to have secrets in there, and that's going to be a very bad thing. And so Key Vault gives us a way to store our secrets so that our template can just connect to the vault and grab the secret without anybody ever having to see it. And especially when you get to places like deploying into a staging production development environment where the secrets might be different. Who wants to have to manage multiple different files and things for different secrets, for sure.
Yeah.
So we want to do that, and then of course we can give our ARM template access to deploy via and grab that Key Vault. We can give it some special access so that it doesn't require a person, and that way you can rotate that secret. Say developer A leaves the company and he knows the password. You can go ahead and rotate that password, and developer A no longer has access. So
and it can be all types of secrets. It could be passwords, it could be certificates, right?
Yes.
It's not just passwords, but in this demo, we'll for sure put a password in there and then call upon it with a template deploys.
Yep, and your storage account keys, right? There's an awesome thing that you can do, especially with storage account keys or keys that get rotated, right? Because what you want to end up doing is storing those in Key Vault, and then you can actually use automation to rotate those keys automatically every 30 days or 60 days or whatever, and then you can show your security people that, hey, we're being more secure, we're rotating these keys, they're not just sitting out there stale, and that way it kind of mitigates some risk of having those things being compromised. So and then of course you might be saying, when am I ever going to worry about my template, of course, being in a code repo? And I'm going to tell you that you should be. All of your code, infrastructure as code, should be in a repository, because it is the definition and the documentation of your infrastructure. So that's one of the benefits that you get with infrastructure as code, is that it's documented right there. You don't have to do a write-up. You may even start to write your infrastructure as code and then realize, hey, I didn't know a lot about this architecture before I started writing this. So you will learn a lot more about your architecture. It'll be documented in there, and then you will be able to have some consistency and idempotency when you go and redeploy that. So you need to spin up another environment, or spin up even a disaster recovery type of scenario. So with all that, long-winded why you should be doing this and why you should have your code in a repository and why you should be using Key Vault, we're going to go ahead and walk through creating a Key Vault. So I'm just going to create a resource group just for this Key Vault, and I am going to call it Key Vault RG because I am very original. And we were doing this in the East US, right, Shannon?
Correct.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just create that in the East US as well.
But we should also say that if you want to create a Key Vault in a different region, you can call upon that in a different deployment region. So if you put it in West US, you can call upon it in East, I believe, right? I don't think there's any massive hurdles with that. You just need to have the capability of being able to deploy and have the Key Vault provide that secret.
Exactly. And so I'm going to not create this Key Vault using infrastructure as code, even though you can, and then you can even map secrets. And maybe that will be something that we can show later. But right now I'm just going to create the Key Vault because when you do this anyway, you don't want to put your Key Vault infrastructure as code into the same infrastructure as code repository location as your infrastructure that's using that Key Vault. It's just a bad practice. So again, for security reasons. So we're just going to go ahead and create this with the portal. And it's been a while since I've used the portal for this, so hopefully. Okay, our Key Vault name is going to be Infra Rocks, and I'm just going to do that all lowercase. That's the developer me using the camel casing, and we're going to put it in the East US. We'll use the standard tier, and then here we get to the access policy. So this is where you have to pay some special attention, because if you don't do this, you are going to run into problems with permission issues for when you go to do your deployment. So we're going to choose this specific policy here, Azure Resource Manager for template deployment, because this is going to be used in conjunction with our ARM template to deploy.
Now that add access policy, isn't that can you do anything with custom access policies? Because I haven't created one from the portal myself. Oh, okay, cool. So yeah,
these are the access policies for the objects that you store in your in your Key Vault, right? So if you have somebody who needs to read specific, or just be able to list the keys, or to write keys, right? So when I had mentioned previously about having automation do your key rotation for like a storage account, you might have an account that you want to be able to create those, rotate the keys, write it into Key Vault, but not read it, right? So if that account gets compromised, somebody can't go in and see a key that's already there.
Sure. I haven't created it in the portal for a bit, so it looks a little different than the last time I created it.
Right, which is exactly what I was talking about at the beginning of this, is like, I have not done this in the portal for a long time. The next thing we get to is networking, right? So networking, you have a few options here. You can actually put this on a private endpoint within your virtual network, so that whatever's accessing this Key Vault will happen over a private IP, which is on your virtual network. And that will be kind of fencing this off from the public internet. We're just going to go ahead and create as is. You can also,
and then public endpoint would just be tying it to whatever specific virtual network inside of Azure that you want to have access to that Key Vault.
Right.
So it would still have a public IP, but it would only be accessible from the virtual networks that you specify.
Specific. Yep, exactly. And then we can specify some tags if we wanted to, of course. And we're going to go ahead and create this guy. And we're going to, once we have this deployed, it's going to take a couple seconds here. So I will finish off my coffee.
It's very daring of you to drink coffee in the afternoon. Sometimes it makes me super jittery. I try and do it only in the morning.
Yeah, I stopped drinking it by a certain time of day because
we're getting old.
Yeah, exactly. I like sleep. And if I drink it too late, I don't get none.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's my deployment is finished, we're going to go ahead and go to this resource. And inside this key vault, we have down here key secrets, certificates, access policies, blah, blah, blah. And we're going to go to secrets. And we're going to generate a secret, and we're going to do it manually, and we're just going to call this, and I actually like to take both the username and the password that I'm providing to a virtual machine, so I'm going to call it super secret user. And let's see, what did we have for the value of this? Anything that's not administrator.
Yeah, doesn't really matter.
Right. And
I like the fact that you could set an activation date and an expiration date too. So if you wanted to go that far,
yep, and you can do versioning.
Yeah, you can do versioning. Yeah, there's a lot of cool things you can do with Key Vault.
Okay, so I got my super secret user, and now I'm going to get my super secret pass. And here we have to make up a password. Okay, so I got
there
super secret username and the super secret password. So that's the easy part, right? Now comes the part where we have to add it to our template.
Yeah, and as a funny aside, I had to go to Matt Canty to figure out how to do this because I kept running into brick walls, and I thought to myself, this shouldn't be crazy. So I just went and I found Matt, and Matt spent, I think it was like on the phone for like 30, 40 minutes, maybe a little bit longer because we were probably catching up, but it wasn't that long, and it was pretty even keeled. And I think you showed me a couple of examples, and I asked a bunch of questions, and now I know how to use Key Vault in my ARM templates.
Right, and so now everybody else will too. So in this in our template here, let's see, we should have a couple of parameters for username and password that we're passing in, right? Or did we create those as variables and pass them in?
No, I think they're parameters. Remember when I did this, the reason why we went down this weird windy path was because I called it same VM VNet name, and I meant VM name. So if you want to, like, yeah, there's the admin username. Now, oh, there we go. Yeah, so that we did. I was gonna say, I thought we made this a little bit more streamlined because we wanted to make this easier to understand. And maybe now's the opportunity where I say at the end of all of this, Matt and I will have an awesome GitHub repo that will go through each episode and just kind of walk you through what the beginning state looks like and what the end state looks like. So since we're in the middle of recording it, we don't have it available, but we'll clear up some of the problems that we ran into with the nested templates. That way you can sort of see the example code. I feel like that's also helpful.
Yep. Very helpful. And if you while we're kind of on that subject, what we're going to end up doing here is these parameters we're no longer going to require the parameter of a username and a password, right? We're going to end up requiring the parameter of a Key Vault resource group and a Key Vault name.
Okay.
Right, so our Key Vault resource group name and then our Key Vault name. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these right now, right? And let's just go Key Vault resource group. And the type is going to be a string here. And then let's do some metadata. And just so people have a good description, even though they're never going to see it, because again, this is inside of a nested template. So here's another thing that we're actually going to end up doing is we're actually cross-referencing a Key Vault from a different resource group, right? So whenever you make a deployment, if you're deploying those resources in that deployment is scoped at a resource group. In this case, our Key Vault is not in that resource group, and so we're going to have to reference it from a different resource group, and so we'll include that in this as well. And then we're going to do here, we're going to do new parameter. Name is a string, And okay, so we have our new parameters in here. The other thing that we're going to end up doing is we're actually going to end up creating a reference to that key vault. And so we're going to have a new variable called key vault reference, because the reason why we're accepting the resource group in the name is we have to, inside here, we're going to have to pull off a function that is going to reference that key vault using, it's going to be the resource group, and then it's going to be the string that represents the type. It'd be like Microsoft dot, what is it? It's not compute, whatever, slash key vault, and then the name of the key vault.
Yeah, okay.
Yep, so here's going to be a reference. And as you can tell from me saying that, whatever, I'll show you the documentation on where you go to find this stuff as well. So, okay, same. So we got to get to our virtual machine, and here for the admin username, here we're going to actually, now that I think about this, we're going to do this at a higher level.
Okay.
So, yeah, so let me do this. I'm going to undo all of that stuff that we just did. All right, so we have I'm going to do this up here in this template. So when we go to pass, let's see where we create our VM. Here's a deployment. That's the VM. And here we're passing this. This is where we're going to, instead of passing a value, we're going to pass a key vault reference. So
Yay.
yeah, so let's actually put our key vault stuff in here. And we'll do it here. And so yeah, this one's going to complain that we have it, but it's not being used. And then so here, and I'm going to do the key vault that hosts the username and password. We'll put our little comment here, and then here's where we're going to put our key vault reference. And then down here, okay, so before we go do this, let's go ahead and go to the ARM template reference. And it's not, it's going to be hard to dig through my favorites right now. They're very unorganized.
I have the same problem.
So here we have our template for a key vault, and this will give us.
Yeah, so let's get to Microsoft.keyvault/vaults.
Yep. And another thing that we're gonna look up is ARM template function, because what we need here is we're going to need a resource function. So this is what we're using for our key vault reference. And it's going to basically be reference, and then we want our resource name or the resource group, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then here you see, like it's going to be resource name or resource group, and then it'll be Microsoft dot. Oh, that's just for resource group. Sorry. Resource group, and then it's going to be the Microsoft dot key vaults slash vault or vaults, and then the name, and that will reference our key vault.
Okay.
So let's see, back to our ARM template. Where'd you go? And our variable. So we're going to say reference, right? And then this will be parameters key vault resource group, right? And then our resource identifier, which is Microsoft dot key vault slash vaults, I think is the way that it's specified. Let me just double check that. Yeah, key vault slash vaults. And then I think this will be our, sorry, it's not reference. It's actually going to be the resource ID.
Okay.
And then parameters key vault name.
Okay.
So we actually need resource ID, because what we're going to pass in here is going to be, instead of a value, we're going to pass in, and it should give us an option.
Okay.
Should be reference, and then I think it's, I'm gonna have to look at the documentation for that again. I think it's type or where's my template function? Let's see, might just be easier to ARM template vault. There we go. There we go. And I just want to get to the reference. Okay, here we go. So this is what the reference is going to look like. It's going to have the thing that we're passing in, and then reference, which is what we put, and then the key vault, and then the ID, which is why we need the resource ID, and then the secret name. In this case, for our admin, it's going to be super secret user, right? So let's go back to our template, and then it was key vault like that. Yep. And that's an object, and then here we have ID, and then we have our variables, and we're just going to take our key vault reference, because that's what's building up that whole, what you see over here in the documentation. This whole subscriptions slash subscription ID slash resource groups slash whatever the resource group name is slash providers Microsoft. Yeah. All that whole long string, which you don't want to have to remember. That's why we use variables to build that stuff up for us, right? Remember from previous videos, parameters are for things you want to pass in. You don't want to have to pass in that whole string. So if you can just pass in the resource group and the key vault name, we can build that in our variable.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so that makes it a lot easier. And then let's see, another part of our reference here would be the secret name. And in this case, it is going to be, we can go ahead and hard code the secret name, just because it's the secret name will always stay the same for the most part, unless you go and replumb your key vault. So we got super secret user, and I'm just going to copy this here so that I don't run into human error. Love the copy paste guy. And then we'll do the same thing here. We will say, instead of a value, we're going to pass in a reference. And that reference is going to be a key vault. And that key vault is going to have an ID, and it's going to be the same thing as the previous one. Variable key vault ref, and then it's going to have a secret JSON and the stinking comments. And that one's going to be super secret pass or super secret password or something of that nature. Yeah. So let's go ahead and throw that guy in. Okay, so now we've got this. So we actually didn't have to make any changes to this guy at all, right? Because it's still accepting as a parameter the username and the password.
Got it.
One thing we'll test it. We'll run this as a live test. One of the things that we may have to do, because I don't remember off the top of my head, is if this the reference coming from key vault is going to be a secure string or a string. So that's one thing that we'll have to.
It's a string, so I can tell you that with confidence, because remember we did the same thing when I went through and I built out that ARM template for replica domain controllers. So it's just the password secure string, and then the username is string.
Okay, so we didn't have to make any changes here. Cool. And here, all we had to do,
try deploying it. Are you feeling confident?
well, we got to update our parameters real quick.
Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry.
Yep. But on here, all we had to do was change our what's going into our parameter into a key vault reference instead of a parameter. And so up here, all we had to do was now provide our user or our key vault. And now that we're not using those, our key vault resource group and our key vault name instead of our username and password, right? So now we just need to update our parameters, and we are going to take out these bad practices, and we are going to put in key vault resource group, and I forgot what I called it.
Yeah, we have to double check.
Infrarocks, is that what I? Oh no, that's my.
That's the name of your key vault. I don't remember. Go back to your resource group.
Key vault RG.
Yeah, okay, that's what it is.
I remember that because it's so original. And then our key vault name, and I remember that being Infrarocks. And we're just going to do that. And so now no passwords are being stored in here. Of course, our parameters are going to balk at us because of our artifacts location and our artifacts location SAS token, which remember from the last video when we had all the red on the screen for 2 hours. And we get those from the PowerShell script file. Okay, so Control S this guy, Control S this guy. Of course, he's going to balk at us too because there's no parameter being provided in here from the foreseen files, which is okay because those are just coming from the extensions here in Visual Studio Code. All right, so we're here.
Are you feeling confident? Oh, we probably want to change the VM name because I think you still have the VM that we deployed previously up, correct?
That's a good question. Let us check our resource groups.
That might be the only thing to check. Do we do the SKRG? Is that one? No.
No.
I don't remember what it is.
VNet deploy.
There we go. Yeah, so just maybe change it to DJ Shan VM2.
Oh.
That way we don't get ourselves into a prickly spot.
Yeah, let's make sure we have. Yeah, yep, that's it. We got to change the VM name. So we have the DJ Shan 1, which is turned off. Forgot about that. I probably went in and turned it off that day. Okay, so in our parameter file. Let's call it DJ Shan VM KV key vault.
There we go. I like that.
Yeah. And that should be all that we have to change. Oh no, we have a public IP also.
That's fine. I think maybe what we could do down the road too is take that public IP out, and maybe deploy something like a Bastion host or
Bastion, yeah, Bastion or
something like that, just to show, just to show whatever we could do just in time. I care not, but that might be another interesting one just to showcase. I think it'd be a shorter clip.
hold on. What is it? AZ. Now we'll just
I can login -AZ account. There you go.
Yeah. I was thinking about attempting the CLI, but I'm not comfortable with that.
I always say I need to get better at it, but what I default to is PowerShell. And I get made fun of by friends of mine that follow my stuff on, like, that don't work at Microsoft. They're like, Python's better. And I'm like, yeah, I'm still kind of learning Python. Like, get me to that point. Like, I've often just said, do whatever makes the most sense to you, you know?
Yeah, let me just double check my subscription here. How do
Get easy context.
That's what I was looking for.
There you go.
Okay, that's the one I want. All right, so now we are going to do dot backslash. Let's see if our, hey.
VNet deploy. Do you remember what it was? I don't. I think it's in that resource group, isn't it?
Well, what we can do is check here and then look at input. Oh no, that's going to tell me the parameters. It's not going to tell me. You think it's where?
I think it's still in that same resource group. I don't think we.
I didn't.
You want to collapse essentials at the top so you can see it a little easier?
Yeah.
It's like click on essentials.
Oh, there.
There you go. This is so you can see it, folks that are playing along at home. I think that's the one you used. Double check the containers.
Yeah, I'll look at the containers and see.
Yeah, that's the one. So just grab that.
Is this the?
I would think it might be staging, but I'm not positive, only because it's the last modified date.
Oh yeah, good point.
But I don't know. So
either well,
you could just create a brand new one.
Yeah, I know. I think it's if we don't provide it. Oh, I copied that. Dummy. I'm dummy. That's such an easy name to remember.
I know.
Something that I really, really feel like typing out into the console. Storage container name. I think there's a default in there if I remember right. So. Do we need any of these other?
I don't think so, because I think those are kind of additional stuff. Like we'll do DST at some point too.
Yeah.
I think that might be everything, Matt.
Yeah.
Just where we cross our fingers and hope for no red text of death.
Oh no. This is where we hope for red text of death, because that means we get to learn something. Nerd. Okay, let's see. Artifact storage container name. Yeah, just doing the resource group to stage artifacts by default. So that's why the other one's in there. Is that there was one point in time when I didn't provide it, and
Okay. So then that's what it did. It just created a random GUID is what it looks like.
All right, here we go.
Let's do it.
Ready to learn. Boom. Uh-oh, it's uploading stuff.
It's a good sign.
For now.
Ooh, that's also a good sign.
That's a good sign. But I find that when we start getting happy this early in the deployment process, that's a bad sign.
Maybe we were that good.
Maybe we were that lucky. I mean, good. My grandfather used to always say, I'd rather be lucky than good. Along with, I was born at night, but it wasn't last night.
Last night. Yeah, my dad used to say that all the time when we were kids.
Yeah.
It's very much so kind of a dad thing or just a parent thing in general to say.
Oh yeah, I've adopted the reuse of that statement many times with my children. Basically means don't try to pull the wool over my eyes.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. You want to flip over to the resource group and see what wound up getting spun up thus far?
Do I really want to? I don't.
I'm just wondering. I'm wondering if you care.
Let's do a refresh here. Sometimes that there's a NIC.
Yeah.
There's a public IP.
And there's a VM.
There's a VM.
All right. So far things look good. Maybe flip back to the template itself.
Yep. So here's the caveat is that it's done.
It deployed.
No red.
Yay!
And we have it on video.
We did it.
Prove it. If we can prove it, it's on video.
Yay! I should try and figure out if I could put some applause in.
Now, yeah. Now here's the test.
You want to RDP to that machine?
We have to RDP into that machine
and make sure that it got the username and password.
The password, if I can remember, because I only had
that one. It's the
KV. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I only had to type it in once. So not having that, hey, retype your password like you do in the portal.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll remember that thing. So RDP, I don't even remember what I used for the username.
So open the file.
Oh yeah. I still got my thinking stuff on. Oh, this is coming over on the screen.
That's all right. Did it go to the other screen?
Oh yeah, I did. I'm like, no, I'm looking at it right in front of me. Here's where we're gonna run into the failure.
Did it pop up?
We're gonna troubleshoot RDP all day. Templates were great. It's the stupid RDP business. It might just not be ready yet. We're gonna chalk it up to that, right?
Yeah, we could chalk it up to that. It might be on another screen again.
It is.
Oh no! So it's the pip this time. Did like it?
It didn't. It failed over here on the other screen.
Well, go look at the public IP. Let's see how it's
Well, it's also behind a. It's also behind a NSG, right?
I don't think we put one in. Double check. I don't know if we put a NSG in, and if we did, I thought we would have put something in like any just to kind of get this up and functional.
What is this business?
Did it not work correctly? That's what it looks like to me because you didn't get an IP address.
Let's go to our deployment and just check.
Yeah, it went through just fine.
It succeeded.
Oh, nope, you got an IP address there. Just try, maybe try RDP to that IP address.
Well, now that because last time I looked at it, oh, you know what? Did I check the wrong public IP?
Oh, yeah? No?
Oh, you know what? There's also DNS. Yeah, you're right. Let me try the...
Just try the IP address. I'm wondering if maybe because we've got a couple things in that resource group, maybe we're hitting the wrong thing. But if you try the IP address...
You'll be proud of me. I remembered the command to bring up remote desktop.
Yay! There's a new hybrid cert that's coming out for Windows Server, man. Maybe you should take it.
Yeah, I don't think so. I used to know Windows Server back in like probably 2012 was the last I kept up with Windows Server.
Yeah.
No. All right. Let's see. VNet deploy resource group. We have let's just double check one thing.
Make sure it's going to the right VM that's on.
Which subnet are we on? First of all, let's check two things. Find out what subnet we're on, then check that.
You can collapse essentials again because it's only giving you like 2.
I hate that it doesn't keep that. Who developed this? Let me talk to them.
Well, you would like it if you could just have the essentials always show up as so what's it assigned to? That's 0.6. VNet deploy.
Yeah, where does it tell me?
Go to IP configurations, I believe. Settings.
Yeah. That's right. IP config here, and it is VNet 1 subnet 1.
Okay.
And if we click on that, we might be able just to fall through to our.
Yeah. So what does the NS? So there is an SG on it.
Yes, NSG right here. Allow corpnet. What the heck? Allow saw. And there is no allow 3389.
Oh,
so
Matt. This is good though. This is good. Like sometimes people don't know what's in an environment, and so it might be one of those things where you have to just troubleshoot a little bit. So add RDP in.
Okay, so that is VNet 1 subnet 1 NSG East US, but for some reason it's not letting me change it here. Why? Add one? Where's the add button?
No, that's not there. Huh? Okay, maybe go back a screen.
I'll go direct.
Maybe just go to the NSG. You're browsing to it.
Yeah, it took me to a page. I was hoping that it would be useful.
It would be awesome if you could do it there, right?
Right. Okay, so here.
Is it being applied via policy? That's what I'm wondering.
Oh, you are.
You're seeing allow corpnet. So now folks know that at Microsoft we get policies applied to us. I'm wondering if that's what it is.
So I can't add a rule to open that up.
Which is fine. So basically we have proven how you go through and add a username and password with Key Vault. Matt didn't even think about the fact that there was a policy applied to it. The reason I thought it was, a policy that was internal to Microsoft is the idea there's allow corpnet and allow SAW, which is a secure access workstation.
Yep. So if we go to our deployment, at least we can look at this and see if my filter, it will allow us to see the inputs for.
Yeah, you could take off Azure Mask.
Yeah. I'll turn it off. But you might have to.
I will blur the sensitive things if there are sensitive.
Well,
things.
I've noticed a couple of them show up anyway, so we might have to go through and do that. Okay, so you see here the artifacts location SAS token and the artifacts location were provided, and that's something that was done by the script. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And here we see we provided, and this is the main deployment template, right? So we provided the Key Vault resource group and the Key Vault name. Okay, so if we go back one level, I refreshed the page.
That's all right.
Let's just go back to the resource group. So that was.
It was VNet deploy.
Again with this business.
They also give us a lot of subscriptions at Microsoft. They like to make demos tough.
Yeah. So if I go to VNet deploy, jeez. And then I go back to my deployments, and then so that was this overarching one where I supply the values. This is actually the sub deployment, so you can see it separated the sub deployment. So when you use a nested template, it'll actually show up the main deployment template, and then it'll show up the deployment of any sub templates, which is this one. And we can look at inputs that were provided here. And no username and password provided, of course, because it's not going to show the username and password. But it's not, see how it's not taking the Key Vault reference anywhere in here because we built that up in our main template and passed it.
What if you take that NSG off the VNet temporarily? Can you do that?
I don't know if MS policy will let me.
You try it.
Essentials. Would I do that via the NSG or the VNet?
You go down to subnets, right? Go down to settings, go down to subnets. Click on there, maybe disassociate. Is that, yep, try that. Let's see if it lets you.
Successfully.
It allowed it. Now what you should do, Matt, is go back to that VM and see if you can RDP. I would be.
I'll just open the RDP file.
Yep, there you go.
That I already downloaded. Maybe before some policy kicks back in and then pushes it back to that subnet.
You may have to like reboot it. That's what I was thinking too.
Which this is very, we don't want to do this in real life. You don't want to disassociate your NSG from your VM.
No, but it was just to show that it worked. Yeah, no, I think I almost get the impression that it's one of those things where Microsoft policy is
punching us. Yeah,
which is fine. Folks at least get a feel for how to do it now, and I think that's the hard part sometimes.
Wow, it doesn't.
Maybe you have to reboot it. Reboot the VM.
Successfully restarted that machine in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, I think the reboots are pretty fast in Azure.
Yeah, they are. And of course.
And if this doesn't work, then we'll just chalk it up to the fact that there is probably a policy pushing itself somewhere that doesn't allow you. So I have the same thing within my org. There's a lot of things I have to do if I want to show a very quick demo in order to make the demo work with public IPs.
Whoa.
Did it work?
Whoa. Whoa.
Oh, so you got the prompt.
Yeah. I don't want to use a different account to.
Well, so just you're gonna have to use a different account.
Yeah, you know, it's dot backslash. I think this is what I chose.
Did it let you?
Yeah, it's popping up on my other screen. Oh, there we go.
Look at that! You can't quite. There you go. There you go. Okay, so we have so Key Vault worked.
Key Vault did work.
Yay! Very cool.
So there you are, quick and dirty.
Key
Get
Vault.
your templates up and running with secrets coming from Key Vault.
Yep, but don't disassociate your NSG unless you're trying to do a quick demo. What we will do next time, or one of the future sessions here, is we will add a Bastion host, or we can add even just in time. I'm indifferent, Matt. We can figure that one out later and give you even more security as you think about some of your demo environments or some of your production environments too. I mean, Bastion doesn't just have to be used for demo environments, right? I know a lot of customers that are using it right now as their sort of first line of defense in the event that express route doesn't work or their VPN is down, right? So there's a lot of different ways to think about getting into your environment in a very secure manner. So cool. Well, Matt, I have had another blast with you. Thanks for joining me today. I always do appreciate the time. It's always fun to get caught up and show people how to do things in Azure.
It's my pleasure.
All right, well, tune in for the next DJ Shan Azure Remixed. We'll keep on this series, and at some point it'll be done, but we have not yet figured out how many more episodes. We've got a little bit more to record. So hopefully you're enjoying this. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, all of the above, and let us know if there's anything else you would like to see as well, just because of the fact that there might be some things we haven't even thought about in terms of recording. So
right, if you want to see us stumble, pick something hard.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, take care, Matt, and we will talk back at you soon.
Yes, you as well.